back, friends. It is that time of the year where we do the mid-year book freakout. I cannot believe that the year has gone by this fast. We are practically in July. Where has the year gone? What have I been doing with my life? I'm feeling a little bit of an existential dread. I feel like I've done truly nothing in the first half of the year, but I know that that is not quite right because so far, I have read a little over 50 books, which is shocking because all of last year, I read 60 books in the year of 2023. And I have read a little over 50 books and the year is only halfway through. I feel like I might be reading over 100 books. And that honestly, if I make that, will be the most books I've read in a year. But enough of my existential crisis. Let's get into the video. I think there are 14 questions that I have prepared for this, and I'm truly doing this on the fly and giving you my answers as I speak. So the first question is the best book that you've read in 2024 so far. I'm gonna cheat a little bit on this and give you two answers. So the first book is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. We have Emily Wilde, who is a fairy scientist. I'm not remembering what the word is for her right now. And we have Wendell Bambleby, who is her co-worker, colleague. They're both people who study fairies, and they are both people that are attracted to each other. This is cute. It's a little bit cozy, but I think it's higher stakes. The way that I'm going to sell this is if you like Half a Soul and if you like Veronica Speedwell, you will like this book. I quite enjoyed it. I thought that this was a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the third book to come out next year. I don't know if the third book is going to be the last book in this series. I really hope not, because I would honestly love to read like 10 books in this world. And my second answer, which is truly a surprise, even to me, is Stolen by the Wolves by Lynx Robinson. This is a book that I read for Riley Marie's Patreon book club. I fully went into this thinking it was gonna be meh, probably gonna be 3 stars, but no, it is a 5-star read for me. I went in once I finished this book and I bought all 3 books in the series. This is actually a special edition copy. This is an Omegaverse Vikings book. If you don't know anything about the Omegaverse, I will link a video down below that you can watch to kind of like get educated a little bit about the Omegaverse. But we are following 2 very distinct people. We're following Tamsin and we're following Thrain. And Tamsin is more shy, reserved. She's brought up in this very strict culture, and Thrain is a Viking. So coming together, they got a lot going on. I honestly cannot wait for the audiobook for the second book, Taming the Wolves, to come out, because I'll be eating that shit up right away. The next question is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2024. And that would have to be A Dangerous Collaboration by Deanna Rayborn. This series, all in all, is one of my favorite series that I have ever read. We have Veronica Speedwell, she is a lepidoporus, and we have Stoker, who is a taxidermist. He's kind of more so like a jack of all trades. And in every book, they are tasked with solving a mystery. This series is a slow burn romance, but this book is what really sealed the deal for me. This book, I feel like, out of the 9 books that are out right now, is, I think, the best. I'm currently reading, I think it's the 8th book right now. And I just really want to get over the 8th book because something happens in the 7th book that made me really sad and it needed to be resolved in the 8th book. But this book gave me everything I wanted out of a slow burn romance. Things were finally resolved. It was everything that I needed. I just highly recommend the series. The next question is new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. Honestly, I do not stay on top of new releases. I kind of read books and make up the videos as I go along. Most of my videos are vlogs with a very loose concept. So I don't presently have a list of new releases with a date that they're gonna release. The only thing I'm following very closely is the audiobook release for Taming of the Wolves. I actually have that book. So this is the second book in the Viking Omegaverse series. And this book, it's quite chunky. It's over 600 pages. The audiobook comes out mid-July. And could I read this book right now with my eyeballs? I could do that, but I'm an audiobook girly and I do not want to read 600 pages with my eyeballs like a peasant. So I will be highly anticipating the audiobook release for this. So I guess this would be my answer for this question. The next question is biggest disappointment. I have 2 answers for this. For most of these questions, I'm kind of cheating a bit because I'll have 2 or maybe 3 answers. But my answer for biggest disappointment is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I hate that book. I absolutely hate that book. I would like to kindly ask Miss Emily Henry, what the fuck were you thinking when you wrote that book? That book was just not it. I hated the romance. I hate second chance romance, and that is the book that made me realize that. I hated Harriet and Win. I wanted them to break up. I wanted them to stay broken up. I hated the friends. I just hated everything about that book. I will link my video down below of the vlog that I read that video for. If you want to see me rant for like 10 minutes about that book, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to watch some negativity, that is the video to watch. And then my second answer for this question is 11/22/63. Now this is a reread for me this year. I first read this book in 2016, I believe. And in 2016 when I read this book, I absolutely loved it. It was a 5-star read for me. But upon rereading it, I was very much like, this book is boring. I don't like the romance. Our main character, Jake, is kind of a loser. This book is over 800 pages long and I don't feel like it needed to be. This book is what taught me to not go back and reread faves that I've had such a long time ago. Honestly, my reading tastes have changed a lot over the past 5-6 years, and this one no longer holds up for me, unfortunately. The next question is the biggest surprise, and for that I'm gonna have to say Stolen by the Wolves. This is just my attempt to get everyone out there to read Stolen by the Wolves. I feel like it just has a perfect blend of fantasy with the Omegaverse. The Omegaverse is sprinkled in there. It's just seamlessly woven together so well. I will say maybe this won't be the last time that you will see Stolen by the Wolves mentioned in this video. Next question is new favorite author, and I have 2 answers again for this one. The first one is Kate Goldbach, who wrote You Again. This is a romance book. It is, I don't want to say enemies to lovers, but maybe acquaintances to lovers. I was so surprised that this was a 5-star for me. The people in this book feel like real people. It is so well written. I was actually so surprised when I read this book about how much I liked it. We're following 2 people who keep accidentally meeting over the course of 8 years and then striking up a friendship, and with then becoming friends they have developed feelings for each other. I just like that Kate Goldbach gave these 2 main characters time to get to know each other. It didn't feel insta-lovey. These felt like real people with real problems, and I cheered them on throughout this book. And then my second answer for this is Grace Draven. I read Entreat Me earlier on this year, and I was pleasantly surprised by this book. This book is a mix between fantasy and romance, and this is the Beauty and the Beast retelling story. I just feel like Grace Draven has perfectly mastered how to blend romance and fantasy together without sacrificing either of the genres. Also, this copy is gorgeous. The next question is newest fictional crush. My first answer for this would be Stoker from the Veronica Spielwell series. I need this man to exist in real life. He is very romantic. He gives Veronica the space to be herself while also being very open about his feelings to her. I just wish that he was a real life person. My second answer to this would be Thrain from Stolen by the Wolves. I mean, just look at that. Just look at this man. Also, he's another character that just gives Tamsin, the female lead character, the space to come to an understanding of her own. He's giving her the space to just pull apart these beliefs that she was raised with, and he's not pushing her into anything. He's giving her the time to realize the feelings that he has for her, and then vice versa. And so I just can't wait for the second book in the series. I really can't. But I'm an audiobook girly, and no way am I reading 600 pages with my eyeballs. And the next question is newest favorite character. And again, 2 answers. My first answer for this is going to be Emily Wilde. She just has so much agency of her own. She knows that she wants to be a scientist of fairies. She knows what she wants out of her life, and she's going to go and get it, and that's what I really appreciate for her. And then my second answer for this is Tamsin from Stolen by the Wolves. Again, she started this book lacking a bit of agency, but once her brother finds himself in a little bit of a pickle, she will go to the ends of the earth to save her brother. And I feel like even though in this book she lacks a little bit of agency and she only comes into that midway through the book, I feel like she's gonna go very, very far by the end of this Omegaverse Viking series. I think there's like 6 or maybe 7 books planned in this series, and I just cannot wait for her growth. The next question is the book that made you happy, and for that I'm gonna have to say Project Hail Mary. This was the first book that I read in 2024, and I'm so glad that this was the first. This was a 5-star read for me, which is just not that common. This book just takes you on a wild ride. We're following our main character. He wakes up in space on this spaceship with no idea what his name is, what he's doing there, and he has to kind of piece it together while his memory slowly comes back together. But it is kind of like a save the world mission. There's a character in this book that I would absolutely die for. The ending of this book is not what I expected, but I just love it so much. This book had me smiling from ear to ear. I think some people's issue with this book is how heavily it mentions like math and science in here, but you just gotta put that past and focus on the story and the characters, and I promise you that you will enjoy this book. The next question is the book that made you sad, and it's gonna have to be Pachinko. This book made me so sad. It did not make me cry. There's never been a book that made me cry. I don't know. Am I dead inside?
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just...
But this book made me so sad because the premise of this book is basically, what if you found a Korean family and spent multiple generations with them, but nothing but bad things ever happened to them? I just wanted everyone in this family to be okay. This is a historical fiction book set in, I believe, maybe 1930s, I think is where this book begins. And we're following this main character whose name I forgot. And she has a son, multiple sons. Her baby daddy left her. This is at a time when Japan was occupying Korea, and this family had to navigate a lot of prejudices within Japan and living there being Koreans. I just learned so much about the history between Japan and Korea, and I just feel very educated by reading this book. This is not something I would normally pick up, and this is, she's a thick one. This is over 500 pages, but I'm so glad I read this book because I just feel like I just learned so much. The next question is favorite book adaptation. And I'm going to have to say it's going to be The Duke and I, which is the first book in the Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn. I read this for a vlog that will not be coming out for quite a while. But if you have ever watched Bridgerton on Netflix, I'm here to confirm for you that the Netflix series is far better than the books. I don't know what Miss Julia Quinn was thinking when she wrote this series, at least the first book, because that's the only one I've ever read so far. That first book was very problematic. If you've watched the first season between Daphne and Simon, you know later on in the season, there is an R scene, and I'm gonna have to say it's way worse in the book than it is in the TV show. The other thing about this book is that Simon is not attractive whatsoever, at least to me, because throughout this book, he kept telling Daphne, I own you. You're my property. You're my wife. And I don't really like that. I'm just not here for women being seen as property. She also lacked a lot of agencies in the book, which I feel like the show fixed a little bit. But like I said, the show is far superior, at least the first season, because that's the only book that I've read. The next question is the most beautiful book you bought this year. And for that, it's gonna have to be Mindfuck by Miss S.T. Abbey. I know, this is the Mystic Box Special Edition. Was this hella expensive? Yes, it was. But you know what? It's worth it. The front of this is so beautiful, those sprayed edges, and then the back is also gorgeous. And then if you remove the dust jacket, this is what the naked cover looks like, and it is just so stunning. These end pages are absolutely beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. I just love this book. I just cannot understand anyone who reads this book and doesn't like it, because this is a 5-star read for me. It is amazing. Lana Myers is my hero. I just love this book so much, and I love this edition so much. And then the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And for this, I have multiple answers once again. The first one is this Veronica Speedwell series. I've been slowly making my way through that book series this year, and I'm on the 7th book right now. There's 9 books in the series. No, actually, I'm on the 8th book. Let me correct that right now. And then the next series that I want to get through this year is the Mistborn series. I will not pull that off the shelf, but it's sitting right up there. 7 books in that series. I feel like once I'm done with the Veronica Speedwell series, I might start making headway into that one, because that is something that I have always told myself that I wanted to finish, and I've only read the first book in that series so far. But that is it. That is all the answers that I have for you. I just kind of made this one up on the spot. I cannot believe the year is almost over. By the time I post this video, it'll probably be by the end of June. Hopefully this is not too soon to put this out there. But if you like this video, please subscribe, give it a like, please comment below. I love seeing your comments come through, and I will check you out in another video next week. Bye!